Dude, I'm doing good. It's weekend's almost here, and it's been a chill day. But I got to listen to this whole album all day today. So it's been a good day.
Sweet. Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's I love the reimagining to everything, like adding all the trumpet and adding all like the banjo into everything too. Like, it's not something and I'll say this too, like when we're fully started, but like not something you see all the time with banjo being added, and it's such like a cool addition to it. So I'm stoked on it. All right. Well, what we'll do here is I'll count us in. We'll crack our drinks, and then I'll do the little intro and bring the two of you in.
Sweet.
All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I'm sitting down with the band Farseek. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, phenomenal. Really excited to be here.
Hell yeah, I'm really stoked on this. I I think I came across Farseek when you did that tour with Kerosene Heights last year. The homies, and I've kind of been just following along ever since, just waiting for the right opportunity. And the opportunity has come, and I'm very stoked on it.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us on.
For people that might not be aware, Farseek is kind of like a shoegaze, alt country, some emo, some indie band from the Georgia area, but also kind of a little bit of North Carolina, a little bit of Florida, kind of like a nice little southeast of the states, kind of mix in there, and you know, putting out great music. Been out around Farseek in general. The idea of it has been around since about 2014, 2015, with the early splits. You have an LP in there. Then there's also a couple EPs, with the most recent being Intent, which was back in 2023, which feels like forever ago, even though it's only been a year since then. Um, but like, I'm trying to think of where that thought was going. I had a train, but that's okay. It'll come back. But yeah, like Farseek's been around for 2014, and I know we're gonna kind of dive into this new album here in a second. But like Cameron, I know this kind of started as your own idea, and it's kind of led into this. It's evolved a couple times throughout the years. Like, what's been like the driving force to keep it going? I know you started in Ohio, now you're in Georgia, and it's still going strong.
Okay, so when I was living down in Florida when I graduated, I had started doing Farseek like my senior year, and then I had a band called Cute Fills, and when I moved up to Ohio and like Cute Fills stopped really doing anything, I was like, okay, I want to get something going. I want to be able to play shows. I want to be able to immerse myself in the scene. And I was like, well, I already have this I have this project going. And so that's like when I really started to take Farseek more seriously. And it's around that time I had like met a bunch of people from booking shows down in Florida, like Harrison from Highways. I was like, oh, we should do a split, because they had a they had a band called Big Spoon Little Spoon. And they're like, oh, this must be a joke, because you have the names of everybody in my band: Cameron, Robert, Harrison, and so now we should be best friends into split. And so then we ended up doing a split and doing like a little tour. So I guess like that was what really kicked it off. Um, but I just kept meeting so many fun people, and like I loved booking shows and getting to travel, and I just kept writing songs, and it felt like the correct way to just keep doing it is to have this like ever evolving like bedroom project. And then it really changed a whole lot during the pandemic, because I couldn't keep going on tour, and I had a moment to like really sit down and like think about like what was going on, and like just reevaluate how everything was going. And that's when I made Standstill. Um, and I think that's like it was mostly all like kind of, there was a few different like iterations that changed, like from like being like more folk punky and more like emo sounding to, I guess, what it is now. But it was like around that time that I started experimenting, like because I worked with Kyle Hoffer on Standstill, and he mixed Intent, and also he did all the mixing on our newest record. And so I had tracked a bunch of stuff, and I had realized at one point I'm like, this would be better if it wasn't just me playing everything. And so Kyle's like, my roommate could play all these drum parts better. You should let me have Corey do that. So I had Corey went and tracked all the drum parts, and it's like, sorry. Anyways, so Corey started playing the drum parts on it, and then it just kind of expanded into like, oh, I should be like playing with other people. So then, as we're coming out of the pandemic and we started going on tour again, at the end of the Standstill release tour, we went in down to Orlando, and we went down and tracked Intent with Kyle, and that was my buddy JB was playing drums with us at the time, and Kyle Widener from the Arrival Note, he played bass on that. And then as I kept demoing more stuff and like working with JB and Kyle, I had like put out a feeler. I was like, oh hey, I think the song would like do really good with trumpet on it. So then that's when Ben and I started working together. I had met Ben on a tour back in like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was
Yeah.
I think it was the beginning of maybe 2019. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Ben had booked Farseek at a skate park in Charlotte, and that was like our tour kickoff with snacking. But so the first song that Ben and I worked on together was "Infinitely Sunny Days," which is on the new record. And that was like around the time I had moved to Georgia, and so I had met Taylor, who plays banjo with us, and his girlfriend was like, "You guys should play music together. You guys gotta play music together." And then I didn't realize like that he's probably one of the best musicians I had ever met, and he's just like casual, he's just like, "Yeah, let's we can play music together, I guess, whatever." And then he just like pulls out the banjo, like, "What are you doing? This is the
Yeah,
thing."
he's crazy good.
It's like
It's very fun.
Yeah, he had so much. So we just kept growing from there, and it kind of expanded into this like whole new sound. And then I about a year ago, like last March, that's when I had met, or I guess last February, I had met Ben's friend Nathan. We were like figuring out like new drummer stuff, and so he's like, "Oh, my buddy Nathan can play drums." So we got everyone together, and like we did this like tour last March, and I was like, "Wait, this is like something that's really special. I think this needs to be like documented," and that's kind of how this whole record came to be, because it was just like the songs had a totally different feel to them with Ben and Nathan and T and then Taylor. It was just like, oh, I think this is what it was supposed to sound like all along, and not like what I had been doing alone in my bedroom.
No, I love how everything comes together, because as I've said before on these episodes, like every release that someone does is kind of like that timestamp as to where they are in their lives. So it's kind of cool to see like you mentioned, Standstill was like the COVID record that you put together, and now this is where Farseek is now, with everyone coming together to make these songs like so much fuller and just completely its own again, apart from like what was already out. And for we're jumping right into the record for people that haven't checked it out yet. It's called "Who Can Start the Fires," which sees, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, this is just like what I was figuring, it's reimagining of 9 songs with 3 new ones.
Yes.
Okay. And it threw me off at first, because I was looking through everything and then realized that there was some reimaginings, and so I was trying to like jump back and forth between checking out like the original and going into the reimagining. It's just seeing like the impact that like Ben and like and Taylor plays the banjo, correct? Yeah, and bringing those elements in to kind of just take on this whole new idea, and like it comes out so amazing and just so full. And it's just when that first banjo kicks in on Crying, I was not expecting it, and I was like, holy shit! Like this is a great way to use a banjo. I've never thought of that I would see the day that it would happen in uh, like an almost like punk and emo band side.
Yeah, it's really fun to get to. I mean, like a lot of my favorite emo bands were like a lot of like the more like alt country ones. Like when Ian, who plays guitar with us, a bunch of Ian, I he showed me this band called Casino, which is it's like the folk band that came after North Star, and it's like super country, and I've just been like obsessed with like that specific niche of like emo, like finding anything like that. There's like a Promise Ring song that was on a movie soundtrack called Easy, and it's like also still just like that, and like all like the super like country weaker than songs. So it's been kind of fun to like kind of carve out a niche of making something that feels like true to style and like unique to I don't know, like it's like our own voicing for the style of music. It's fun to not just like rehash the same ideas over and over again and just build upon something that's existing.
Yeah, there's definitely no one else showing up to two shows with the banjo and killing it. So that's definitely something that Farseek has up their sleeves to be able to pull it off, and it's just done so well. And then um, you know, obviously we know the reimagined songs that are out, but with this, I think probably my favorite song off this album, Salt. There's a great feature in there, Ben. I got to give you props. It's like I think it's like 2.5 minutes in when you kind of do like that nice just instrumental section, um, and the trumpet comes in. And it's like my favorite part of that whole song. That's not to hate on Cameron's voice. It's just when that trumpet comes in, I'm just like, oh man, like it just pulls you in, and just the feels that it gets right before Cameron comes back in with his vocals, like it's such a great moment.
Oh, that's super nice. Yeah, thank you. That's really nice. Yeah, that part of the song was really fun to like create because I remember the original demo of it didn't have that bridge section, and I remember hearing the version that Nathan had tracked with Cameron down in Statesboro. And I don't know if I actually told you this, Cameron, but I texted Nathan. I was like, dude, that drum part is like, it's a little much. It's a little overkill. And the more I was listening to it, more I was like, this actually is a really cool part of the song. And it took me a minute to warm up to it, but I was really glad with what we came out for that. Like, it's definitely, I think, probably one of my favorite Farseek songs to date. But yeah.
Yeah, when I heard what he had put together with like all the different like layered parts, I was like, oh my god, this is fun.
Yeah, it was definitely like wall of sound, just like hitting it. It was like, whoa. But I love how that's kind of become like part of the sound for this record, and particularly that single. I think it really showcases that well.
Yeah, yeah. Every song that you kind of added to, I like. I'm really a big sucker for horns in non-typical horn music. I don't know if that's the right term. Like
Yeah.
there's I can't I always think of this band, but then I always forget who it is when it comes time to like mention it on this podcast. But it's like I think they were might have been from Florida, emo band, probably like 2013, 2014. But they have a couple songs on there that they just have horns in, and it's been like my favorite thing since then of just like getting to a good like punk or emo song and just having horns come in and just change the vibe in like the best way and just like build and almost make it like a ballad feeling like um and I'm always the sucker for it. So when especially on Salt when that came in, I loved it. But like even everything else you did on this record just came out amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, I'm excited for this record.
Now with doing like the reimagining and bringing a lot of these songs back, I know we kind of talked about how they're what kind of like Farseek was what it is now and what like it kind of was going towards. Was there a moment for you, Ben, where you looked at like one of the songs and you were more like most excited to add something to that, like a specific song leading into this?
let's see. Yeah, I think it was actually the second song we started working on together because the first one I had worked on with Cam was "Infinitely Sunny Days." That song was a blast. Like I really felt like I was in my what is it like my elk era from what's that band TTNG. I just love the trumpet on that song. But the next song we started working on, "New Short Haircut," I really liked that one with trumpet. I remember like particularly liking it, seeing Farseek live the few times I had in Charlotte, that skate park show, and uh, but I think adding trumpet to that song was really surprising for me because it kind of like brought out all the parts of the song that I didn't realize that I liked a lot, like particularly in the vocal melody. That song live, I use a lot of trumpet pedals for too, with like the freeze, my pitch shifter and such. So it's that was definitely a song that stuck out as like, oh wow, this song's really cool, more than I thought. So that was a fun one for me. That's also the second single too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's this like crazy thing when we do it live too, where he like has like a freeze. You do the freeze at the beginning, right? It's like all these crazy pedal effects.
Yeah, I had it's like that low drone note. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I was excited about hearing as it came together too, with like the banjo to just like the totally different feel that Nathan adds to it because he does like some more like polyrhythmic drum parts and just like really plays with the feel in a way that was like not he made the drum parts I wrote like infinitely better.
Yeah, he's a funny drummer. He'll just throw the most random groove in the middle there. And he's very casual about it too. It's fun.
There was like at the end of a tour with Kerosene Heights last summer, he just like did like a metric modulation thing where he like all of a sudden starts like counting. Oh, what if I did like 4 over this? Like they're all part. I'm like, what are you doing? No, this is like so good. I'm like so locked in. We're like so short, tight. You just like doing the most goofy thing ever, and everyone, no one's even noticing that he's just like completely changed like what the feel is, and it was magical. I love Nathan.
Yeah, he takes a lot of great creative risks as a musician. It's fun making music with him for sure.
With these songs, I know. Thanks for Saving My House kind of had, I think this is the third or fourth iteration, depending on how you look at the releases since it's been out. Well, at least leading up to this record. With like the songs that are here and like with this reimagining, is there like one that like you are most kind of surprised of your initial thought process, like no matter when it first came out to like how it fully filled out being on this record?
I had no idea that Thanks was gonna sound like that when we started it. I had like demoed it during like lockdown stuff for like a live stream. I was like, oh wait, I think this could be like a really great song, and it. But one of my friends said something to me that was it wasn't super nice, but he was like, "Yeah, that song's like really good, but your production quality on it's horrendous." So then I was like, okay, I gotta be more thoughtful, but I also was like just like really new to doing everything myself and figuring it all out. So I was like, I don't even know what that means. I know it's not nice though, but it was, but yeah, that one took a minute to, I guess, figure out like what is the way that it needed to be. I guess that one was particularly surprising.
I do remember that there was like a moment on tour. I think it was back in March last year, when we had this new sort of iteration of the band, and we were playing that song, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of more of a heater than I thought it was." Yeah. Or it might have been the Kerosene Nights tour. Either way, yeah.
Especially when we have Taylor on tour with us, he's like doing all those like really like awesome like banjo plucking parts. It's just unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he plays synth with us too, so like he like swaps back and forth between the banjo and the synth. It's just like just so cool.
it's good to have you know, that member that can kind of do both. So thankfully you also haven't like made any like synth parts over top the banjo parts, because that would also be kind of impressive to watch trying to do, but with obviously can't be done, but still would be cool. Um, I know this record came out on May 10th. Or is there plans? Obviously, this is we're just getting into summertime, but is there plans to kind of take this on the road? I know you do have technically four album release shows, which is insane, and to think about. But that's amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it's fun getting to do all the album releases because we have like I guess a lot of hometowns. So like we get to do where I live right now. A lot of people have been like, "Hey, what are you gonna? When's Farseek gonna play in Statesboro?" So it's like I guess like the first time we'll have the full band there to do. We've done like acoustic sets or a couple like little things like a carpool and Cinema Star was supposed to come to like a post fest show, but they all got like COVID or something, or the flu. The flu was going around like crazy. Uh, so it'll be our first time doing that there, and then Savannah is like the more like big scene town, so we're excited to get to go do that, and then like a hometown show near in Tampa for me, so it's like where like all my like all those people are at, and then one for Ben and Nathan up in Charlotte, so that'll be fun. But yeah, so we're taking on the
Yeah.
road. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That one's with this band called Hans Gruber and the Diehards, the Charlotte show. And
Nice.
if you're, I don't know if you've heard of them. I feel like it's like ska-core band. They're unbelievably good. It's yeah, just like very good, like hardcore punk and ska. Like it's like also kind of metalcore, but in a way that is like the perfect amount of like camp. Phenomenal band and incredible live show. All right, anyways, yeah, we're going on tour this summer with Clementine Was Right. They're like a queer country emo band from Denver. So we're flying out to Seattle with them about halfway through June, like June 20th is when we're going to start, and then we're hitting like Seattle and Portland and Olympia and a lot of places in Eugene, and then a lot of places in California and also Las Vegas. So that's exciting. We've never been out that way before. I attempted to do that like a long time ago, and then got a show in Seattle. I got a show in Nebraska, and then in Arizona, and that was it. And I thought that is not enough to try do that. So we did not do it. So it's exciting to finally go do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That it's finally worked out, and especially with like this line of a Farseek to have it work out with, you know, kind of what you're going with now. But yeah, the a 3 day tour of Seattle, Nebraska, and Arizona would be brutal. Those drives, I mean, Nebraska alone, driving through there is nothing. So that drive would be terrible. But
Absolutely.
I'm happy that you're able to finally go do this run. So we'll talk we'll talk links in a little bit, but everyone be ready for those if you're out on the West Coast. You know, for the later half of June. Um, One other cool thing with this record is a lot of the album artworks, whether they're been the singles or like the EPs, or even like leading into this full length album artwork, has all been done in house by you, Cameron. You know, they've all come out amazing. Is there anything that like, especially with like the singles, is there anything that like kind of sparks what they're gonna be between like the song, or like how does that come about?
I take a lot of pictures of just like stuff I see when I'm out and about. A lot of times, about is like floral and like landscapey stuff. So I like New Short Haircut. That one was based off of a watercolor painting I did for like the original version of New Short Haircut. It's a picture of my wife playing pinball at the Grave Face Museum in Savannah. But the other ones are more just like stuff I like find when we're out on tour. Like so the LP covers from like a bouquet of flowers that was at my buddy Gage's house that he got from his sister's wedding, and then the ones for Pride, I took pictures of when we were on tour or we had like a little weekend run we did with funeral homes. I got that picture in Asheville, and then yeah, it's just like whatever. Like I just like I'll go through and look. I'm like, oh, what like fits the vibe for this, and then like trying to like match like the colors that I think like fit the vibe, and that's about it. I don't know if that answers the question super well, but yeah.
No, it does. Like they all came out super well. I really love how the LP artwork looks, especially on the tape with the color of tape that was chosen. Like it works really well with that. And then with this, you're also doing a CD with it. Like it's kind of got like its little fold in there.
Mhm.
And I felt like that came together very well. And like I didn't realize they were paintings at first. That's how well they are. And then I realized that like these are actually like all paintings. And then I was like, oh, like Cameron's doing all of these for the artworks, and I like it just adds a nice extra touch because yes, you could have someone make something, pay for something, but it's cool that it's like more. It feels like more meaningful because you're taking the time to do it yourself and put it in there.
Thanks. Yeah, really. I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. I love painting pictures. So cool to get to show more people the paintings that way.
Uh, I'm guessing do you have them all kind of? I did see like a picture we had like kind of like a little art display, but do you have them like kind of all together and with
Yeah,
each
they're
other?
hanging in my house right now. I got a couple in my bedroom. I got the intent painting in there too, and then I've got some other ones in the living room. So
Uh,
yep. Yeah.
uh, and then also for the reimagining of Pride, you did a music video that I think you guys shot last year in Philly. You said, uh, and it's kind of just for people that haven't checked out either EPs or are going into this LP. A lot of the themes, obviously like we talked about Salt earlier, which has the heart feels theme in there, but like then there's the themes of like angst and kind of just talking about like what's going on in society today, and dealing with that. And like Pride is kind of like one of those songs where it's kind of talking about you know everything that's going on and what's bad that people aren't aware of or avoiding. And you do this music video kind of pinpointing, like you do kind of like a Joe Rogan spoof. There's I think a Fox News or CNN, and then you're all kind of doing different things, kind of just poking the I don't know if poking the bear is the right word, but like playing off of that for like the bigger message, which I thought like I watched that today and I thought that came out very well and like um, and just done very well. And for people that it's hard to talk, like I feel like I'm not giving it the right gist,
Oh, I understand.
but it's done very well, and I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Yeah, we're working with my buddy Jack Curley on that. Jack so I met Jack. The very first Farseek tour was me and Jack. So I was like playing an acoustic set, and he was showing his film reel. So it's always funny to work with him. That was the second video we've done with him. We did one for a song called Just Being in 2017, I think. 2017, 2018. I think it's 2018. But so it was cool to get to work with him. He lived in the South for a long time, and he moved up to Reading, Pennsylvania, and so we had a I think we had an off day. Was that right, Ben?
Yeah, we had an off day
Yeah.
at Heresy Night Store. Went and shot that music video.
Yeah. So he's like right outside Philly, and we were like talking about like I think we talked about doing a green screen video. I don't remember who originally pitched it, but we talked about like, oh, what if we did this? And it's like about the different ways that people are like radicalized through media, and also the ways that like a lot of the media is used as like propaganda to manufacture consent, so that way people are like really uh, passively okay with things like the genocide in Palestine and just and then like with police brutality, and it's just so just kind of like I don't know. It's kind of one of those things like if you can't kind of like poke and laugh at it a tiny bit, you gotta cry about it. It's really like just horrible. So that's it. It was fun to make the video, Jack.
Yeah, I thought it came out very, very well, and it was nice. For some reason, like I don't know why, but I feel like Philly was like the right town to do it in. I know it was like an off day, anyways, but like it just kind of feels like right. Uh, Mainly because you got like all the historical buildings. It just knowing that it was done there, I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Is there plans to do like any other videos for any of the other songs on the LP?
Yeah, I've been working on one for Clouded by Hubris, and I'm hoping that we can finish it up here shortly. So it's a different feel. It's not as I don't think it's as pointed, but I think it's really pretty.
Yeah, definitely feels a little less wall of sound than maybe like Salt might. But yeah, I really like that song a lot. Like that middle section, it's got a very like punk feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the video for it's gonna come out real cool.
Well, I'm stoked to check it out when it drops. Everyone else, I'm sure will be ready for it as well. Uh, if anyone is like trying to like just like this is their first glimpse at Farseek, and like what's something that they kind of can expect to kind of find or get out of Farseek in general?
It's a lot of songs. It's like love songs, and then that are like just it's like maximalist love songs, and then also maximalist like
lots of instruments.
capitalism. Lots of instruments. There's a whole lot of things and a lot
Almost too
happening.
many, but in a great way.
Yeah,
That's how I think of it.
there's something for everyone. Somebody said we sounded like Mumford and Sons. Maybe that's what you'll get out of it.
Now, do you take that as a compliment or as a diss? Because Mumford and Sons, I feel like doesn't sound like Farseek at all. To me personally,
I think it's a band that has banjos in it.
okay, in that
You're like,
aspect,
what's a rock band that has banjos in it? And you're like, okay, cool. This is like something within like the popular canon. You could do that. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, it's like Green Day meets Mumford and Sons. You like that?
Ooh.
I don't know. But
make that as a bumper sticker.
yeah. Oh, I'm ready on it.
But like I know we've kind of bounced around on the album and Farseek, and like, like I've said multiple times, it's really cool to see the reimagining of stuff, and I really like that you have done it with these songs that you've had around for a while. Like, there's a lot of bands out there that I love their first iteration of songs, and I would love to see a reimagining as to like where they are now in their lives and how like maybe one of their songs would be different. But it's cool that you've taken that time to do that, especially with like all these member changes and growing it. Um, is there anything that I might have missed, like between Farseek or we can start who can start the fires, that you want the people to know about?
I think we've been well, let's see. No, I think we've got just about every. I think we got just about all of it. Can you think of anything, Ben?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that's a good question. I think that pretty much covers it as far as I can say. I think coming into this band as like an addition, um, at that kind of I guess sort of like turning point was very fun, and it's been a very unique experience to me as playing in a band. I mean, every experience playing in a different band is always changes from band to band, but I do think this one was particularly unique, and that was really cool. But I think we pretty much covered all our bases there for sure.
Well, like I've said, everyone go listen to Who Can Start the Fires and be ready for those tour dates, which we'll get to here in a little bit with the socials. But as we start to transition, this is obviously Beers with Bands. You don't have to be drinking all these episodes because I will definitely do that for you. But I know you have some beverages in front of you on this fine Thursday night. What are you all drinking?
Oh, I am drinking the finest beer, Pabst Blue Ribbon,
Hell yeah.
over at Bart Smart over in Charlotte here. um, but yeah, that's what I'm drinking. PBR.
Wonderful. I was wondering where you were. I didn't recognize that painting from your house, so but
Oh yeah, no, this is the Bart's back room. They got an arcade machine in here now.
oh, cool. That's fun. Yeah,
It's
Bart's
Mortal Kombat.
Sick.
sweet. I am drinking a grapefruit LaCroix or pamplemousse, if you will. Yep.
Liqueur Gang, as Kerosene Heights would say, which I don't know why we, yeah. And then this episode, I'm drinking a good old Coors Banquet. It only felt right because Georgia, Smoking the Bandit. It's a long tie-in. It made sense in my head earlier when I grabbed them out of the fridge.
Hell yeah.
It's a
Coors
great
Banquet.
Yes. Wonderful. Excellent choice.
But that's the little small beer spaghetti for this episode. But now we're gonna kind of transition to kind of my favorite part of the episodes, which is kind of where we talk about some fun stories from you guys' time of music, whether shows, tours, time recording. Obviously, there's a music video that's been recorded, or a couple that have been recorded, so I'm sure there's some shenanigans that happen there. But yeah, this is where we kind of just, as I normally say, they can be anything horrendous to tremendous, or any adjective in between. Think about the stories you always reminisce about with your friends. Those are usually the best stories that everyone loves to hear.
Oh man, horror stories. Who started? What's the most like ridiculous thing that's happened?
Most ridiculous thing was when we were in Illinois and those people said, I'm going to talk smack for 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a ridiculous moment.
Like, yeah, we're going to keep these people at the show that we stayed at the show house. Like, yeah, we're going to keep the touring band up all night. And I was like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. There's no way you could ever actually be serious about that. Why would you do something so sadistic? And
then they did.
and we all got collectively the worst night of sleep ever. But then it was like maybe fine, because then this person that shouldn't have been driving ended up coming back and was like trying to like drive off, and then we ended up getting them up, or Nathan ended up getting them a place to stay and made sure that they didn't like go drive their car when they couldn't stand up. So that was
that was a pretty wild night because well, that had happened that they were keeping us up, and it was weird because it was only 2 people, and they just were having a very loud conversation. It was pretty funny. But then, yeah, it did end up working out for the best because, they definitely could not have driven home, and glad we could intervene there. But yeah, that was where was that? Peoria, Illinois. Yeah,
oh yeah,
played a house show.
Yeah, it was crazy. People were like crowd surfing. It was graduation night. Reese from Kerosene Heights' sister had graduated, so she came out, and her grandma, or their grandma, was there, and then they played "Graduate" by Third Eye Blind.
Oh, which I absolutely believed 100% up until like that tour that was their song. I was like, yeah, can I graduate? That's a pretty good Kerosene Heights song.
Yep.
So discovering I like Third Eye Blind, that was funny.
Yeah,
it hits us all differently at different points in our lives.
Yeah. I was just a little late to the game.
They're phenomenal. They're just like Semi-Charm Kind of Life is the best pop song of the 90s. Maybe one of them. It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. Or is that 2000s? I don't know. Anyways, great song. I love it. But then we had like the inverse experience the next night where we went to Dubuque and just had like the best time in the world. Just like went back to these people's house and they were like, "What's up? You want to get weird and play Magic?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, that
You
was
know, all
pretty
night,
cool,
like
especially
playing Magic and like Xbox, and it was just like, "Oh, cool! I'm having the best sleepover of my life."
yeah. That was a funny stop. Yeah. Dubuque, Iowa. Never thought it would be cool, but it is.
We got the best tacos I've ever had, or maybe some of the best tacos I've ever had there. I was not expecting it. There was like some coffee shop that was within walking distance of where we slept, and it was these dudes from like California, or this couple from California, and they just like had such good tacos.
Oh yeah. Great start to the day.
That's good to know because like I mentioned to Cameron before we started, like I'm originally from like southeast Iowa, and I also would not expect Dubuque to have very good tacos. I've been to Dubuque and I wouldn't expect tacos, but that's good to know. Next time I'm for randomly there.
I was not anticipating. I thought I was just getting coffee, but then I was like, "Wow, that's good, really good food," and it was an
Yeah,
expensive.
Yeah.
it's one thing if you think you're just gonna get coffee and then you end up getting tacos from a coffee shop, uh, but that's good at least that they turned out very well and not didn't go south.
Yeah, it was very well. Yeah, just like excellent spot.
Hell yeah.
At our St. Louis show this past time, there was like a full like mosh pit that broke out. My brother like knocked me over all this stuff, and I like I have an awesome battle scar from it now.
Oh, sick. Oh, that was actually my trumpet case for sure. Actually, that you tripped over.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yes, I tripped over I like fell into a wall and just like got like the worst rug burn, just like ripped my arm open. It was awesome. 10 out of 10. It was at CBGB. It's this like super tiny dive bar. I think like my studio space is like a little bit wider than that. That's meant to.
It's kind of crazy when you're on the road, like the tiny spots that you get to. Like I always think about like that one meme that comes from The Office where it's like, oh, this is the stage, and it's just like a piece of plywood,
Yeah.
and then it just turns out to be like a wild show, anyways, and it's just a great time.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's great. I love there was when I first started going to shows, there was this whole thing where people were like, the stage is elitist. The stage means that you're like elevating yourself above the bands. And I'm like, oh, I wish that we didn't have to worry about like feedback with our like kind of our setup's like not that complicated, but it is like just complicated enough that I think that it could be like horrendous to do that. That's it.
Oh yeah, definitely played enough shows where that office meme kind of becomes reality for you. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I remember there used to be this venue in Des Moines, Iowa. It was like in the back of a record store, and the room wasn't that big initially, and then they like broke down a wall and like made the space like kind of doubled the space. But then for some reason there was a riser for the stage, but then the drums had like an even bigger riser, so they like looked like they were just like king in the mountain up there for like it was the weirdest thing because you'd have the band here and then the drums like 2 foot higher than them. It was some wild shows happened there. Like they had like a pole right in the middle of the room that like just wrapped in like blankets so you didn't just completely annihilate yourself. But just the drum riser always I always think about that, and for why they decided to do that I have no idea.
That's crazy. I played it I played this it's called Rock the Big Top in my hometown. There was like it's where the Ringling Brothers like had all the circus stuff. So it was like this guy spent an exorbitant amount of money renting out this like giant circus tent, and that they had a drum riser that was like that. Like I think my drummer was like above our half stacks. And it was very poorly attended. I later learned that the guy went into so much debt. His wife like left him because he was like owed like $15,000 of because of this event. He had got hired a videographer and like the worst sound guy you've ever heard. It was crazy. So
Damn.
yep. Drum risers.
Yeah, drum risers.
Our craziest story from the last tour I think is we played a show as a tornado was touching down in Jackson, Mississippi. Like
Yeah,
drove
I
from
forgot about that.
we, we drove from Austin that morning all the way to Jackson, Mississippi, which is like a 9-hour drive. I got up super early to go drop off Ian at the airport so we could fly back to Florida. And as we're getting up to Jackson, it was like I got a phone call. Like, yeah, I think they're trying to cancel the show. I think there's like a big tornado thing coming through, and they ended up like not canceling the show. And it's like fine, but we're like loading out of the venue. Like if the last band's playing, right? It's like people are like there's like 10, 15 people at the show. Nothing super crazy because there's a tornado that's going to touch down while the show's happening. And so there's enough people that like were like, yeah, I'll brave the storm. It'll be cool. And then like there's this moment where you just like notice like everybody's phone going off in their pocket during the last band. It was like letting them know like, yep, there's a tornado in the area.
Oh my god.
We were like we unloaded everything. Like and the wind is just like going crazy and
I have a specific memory of like this what is that called? The lights that you drive through the intersection, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Traffic lights. Jeez, that took forever. Anyway, I have a distinct memory of a traffic light just like swinging like uncontrollably as we were like leaving. I was like, oh no, this is a sign. we gotta leave.
Yes.
But it was a really cool show though. That was in a record shop. What was the name of that place?
The End of All Music.
Yeah, the End of All Music. That was that ended up being a really cool show just for with the tornado going on and everything.
Tornado going on and a Monday night. Yeah, it was like fine. It was totally cool. It was a really tiny space. You couldn't have fit too many more people in there anyways. But it was cool. They had like Sun Ra records and stuff. So they were cultured.
Yeah. At least it was a good show. I remember there was one time we played, I know this is bad because a tornado just went through Omaha, but I think we played Lincoln. And like the show was getting over, a decent amount of people were there, like not like a crazy amount. And then it like instead of like us trying to find a spot to like start driving and like go crash on before like our next tour stop or whatever, there was like a crazy like thunderstorm coming through, which it was almost like tornado level. And one of the bands was like, you guys could just like crash at our place, and we're like, cool. And now like the silver lining from all that was just like I still talk to those dudes like once a week, and like that's the thing I miss about being on the road, is just seeing meeting all those people and just like building those connections like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get to make so many cool friends. It's great. All over the place.
Yeah, I remember we would route some tours just to go see like our friends because we hadn't seen them since the last time we were in their town. It was a great time.
Yep, I've definitely have done that many times.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah. But Ben and Cameron, as we start to like kind of wind down here, I have one last question for the both of you. I know we've been talking about some stories from the road, but I like to kind of end off these episodes on a high note. From your time in Farseek, what has been your like favorite moment that you've experienced so far?
Ooh, that's a good question. My favorite moment in Farseek. It's really hard to actually pinpoint one. I'd say overall, like this band for me has been particularly exciting because I think everybody has like a first band that gets them really, introduced to DIY music. And, I had my own for sure. I was fronting and playing guitar with this band. We were called Old Sport. I was like, writing a lot of the songs there. And by the time that band had ended, that was sort of like Farseek was very transitional for me. I remember, meeting Cam because I was, playing an Old Sport, meeting all these bands that were touring and being like, oh, maybe I should actually start to try and like, book some bands hosting, who are on tour and all of that. I think it was a really cool transitional moment for me because I got to continue playing in a band. But not only doing that, it was playing an instrument I had learned in middle school. Playing in concert band, and I set that instrument down like all through college. And I had played trumpet in another band prior. Just we had played a couple like shows around Charlotte locally, but Farseek was like the first time I got to really step into being a trumpet player, like this being my instrument. So it's hard to really say. A lot of shows are very like overwhelming in a good way of just like bringing up all these like memories of like learning the instrument when I was middle school and high school and all of that. So it's really hard to pinpoint one. I think the first recording we got back, it was Park of Roses, which was a song that Cam actually played drums on because Nathan hadn't been introduced to the group yet. I think about a month or two after that song came out, we brought Nathan into the mix. But I think hearing my trumpet back on a recording, that was something I was listening to on Spotify and all of that. That was just as a musician a very nice like turning point for me, just to hear that kind of feedback. So anyway, long answer, but yeah, it's a very fun band for me to be playing in. I've really been enjoying it.
We love having you.
Yeah.
Great. Ben's awesome to go on tour with. Like, phenomenal dude. All right. I think my favorite parts is like any moment that I don't know, I figure I just like do a lot and I don't always get seen or whatever. But like when people like see like what's going on and like talk to me about it from this like weird like meta level, that's like those are my favorite moments. Keegan Bradford wrote a really nice review for us in Stereo Gum, and that was probably like the most seen I've ever felt. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is like someone who's like been watching me do this for a decade. Like I've been friends with Keegan forever. Like recorded his old band when we were down in Florida, and anyways, it was nice to feel seen in that way. That and then like there was another time we got like a write up with like all the Bandcamp Friday stuff, and it was like kind of fun to be like in the first drop where we were dropped in this thing that was like, yeah, pick up the new single from Death Cab for Cutie, the singer of or one of the guys from Sonic Youth, and then Farseek, and I'm like, what? And then I went and did that, and then like went into a job interview, and I'm like, I'm gonna crush it, I'm gonna do so good, I'm on cloud 9 right now. And like I'm not even, I don't think like I'm like even close on the same level as like that kind of stuff, but it was like still like, oh, this is exciting. Okay, and then maybe one of the other ones like for like recent like coming out of the pandemic moments was like getting to play we played a sold out show with Spanish love songs last summer, and that was really fun to just like have that energy in the room. And
Hate to cut you off, but yes, I agree. That show, yeah, with Spanish love songs in Philly at Come to Necktie. That was definitely a moment. I remember like being on stage and like looking over at Cam, and I was like, yeah, like this is I don't know, Cam is being seen right now, and this music is finally getting the show that it deserves. I don't know, it was cool.
yeah, that was a really fun one. But there's like a million ways that it's like just really rewarding. I've made like so many like really close friends through doing this, and like like with people getting a tour with a variety of different musicians, but then also just like you were talking about with your like booking the tours to go see your friends and stuff like that. Like a lot of like when I was like, oh, I don't know where to book a tour to, where should I go, and like going and booking the shows to go like, well, I got friends over here, let's go do that. And so like building these kind of like lifelong friendships as a result. Yeah, and like it's like one of the people that like booked us all the time, my buddy Andy. Andy like passed away like 6 months ago, I think, and like Andy was like one of the first people that was like, hey, what you're doing is like cool, it's like you should like keep doing this. And would like always book us shows in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and so I'd always be like, yeah, let's go, we gotta go see Andy. So we'd always book times to go out there. And then just a couple other you just meet a bunch of people over time. It's nice to just have meaningful connections with people and to be in community with people all over the country. And I don't know, you just get to be part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I think that that is infinitely rewarding in ways that is incredibly difficult to quantify. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the connections that you make are, like you said, lifelong. Like not only would we route the tours to go see friends, if we knew that we were not going to be able to find a show like a day before or a day after, we would just like plan it to be like, oh, we'll just hang out with them for 2 to 3 days and just like really get all the hangs in. And I mean, like if it wasn't for music, I wouldn't one be living in Minneapolis now. I wouldn't be doing this podcast. Like it's great to have that community and find those people that like you can just relate with and like be friends with. And like I mean on your end, like now Ben's in the band bringing all his skills and like and just like the whole Farseek crew is now just because of that, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. It's just so good. Just like get to go travel all over the place. I mean, yeah, it's just funny because you never expect like the ways it's gonna go. It's like when I first met Ben. I mean, you're not thinking about like, oh yeah, we're gonna be buddies. We're gonna travel all over the place together and like go like write songs together and like, collaborate in all sorts of ways beyond just like you know hanging out and doing shows and like we would always crash at Ben's house in Charlotte too. So just
Yeah, it is funny thinking about that first skate park gig when I booked y'all and snacking at this place called Oso Skate Park, which is like an indoor skate park that I think hosted shows maybe for like 6 months. It wasn't a very long time, but it is really funny thinking back to that show and yeah, y'all and snacking like stayed at my house way back then, and I don't know, it's cool.
oh yeah, one of the last shows we did before the pandemic, Ben's friend Phil booked this show called Dilemma Fest,
Oh
and
yeah,
we all got to go. It was us and the weekdays all crashed back there, and so it was just that was
oh yeah, that's right. There was like 3 bands in my house that night.
it
Dang.
was so fun. It was like half of Carpool was playing in the weekdays too. It was just like really fun.
Yeah,
It was a fun night.
that was a fun.
Yeah.
Again, funny to think about that. Like also, playing in Farseek now and all that jazz. It's
So
fun
many
stuff.
everything is unpredictable and wild, and I love it.
It's the best times.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of more best times, everyone go listen to Who Can Start the Fires and make sure you either go get a tape, go get a CD. I think you also have 7-inch cuts of the singles. And I'm blanking on what songs are on that 7-inch cut. Can you remind me?
Salt and New Short Haircut.
Salt New Short Haircut. If anyone's looking for merch, music, or Farseek in general, where can they find it?
We have our merch up on our Bandcamp and on Spotify, and you can buy stuff from Really Rad Records as well.
Yeah, quick shout out to Really Rad Records. I was going to bring this up earlier. Amazing people over there. If anyone hasn't been on social media, they had a terrible fire happen. I know that they still have a GoFundMe up, I believe. So if you are able to, please go donate. Like I said, they're amazing people, and I've gotten to connect with a lot of bands because of them. So go help them out. But also go pick up a tape or CD from Farseek and catch them on tour at the end of June if you're on the West Coast. Go follow their socials to get those dates and stay up to date for any new music, new tours, that possible new music video that'll be coming in the near future, and just everything else that they have going on. One last big thank you to Ben and Cameron for taking the time out of your Thursdays to sit down with little old me and talk about Farseek and just have a good time. Like I can't stress enough. Like this album is great. It's killer. I love this reimagining, and that's not to say that the other versions weren't good. Like everything that you put out is great, and it's cool to see these different check marks in the life of Farseek and where it's going, and just everything else you have going on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us and for helping us spread the word about Who Can Start the Fires. We really appreciate you having us on with Beers with Bands.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Dude, I appreciate it. Everyone goes into Farseek, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Beers with Bears.